All right. Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. I want to welcome you all to today's webinar Wednesday. We're so excited today. We have a little bit of a different format, and we're really excited to work with two different manufacturers today. We're going to be discussing building healthier homes and reducing construction costs. Lennox will be talking today with us about indoor air quality solutions, and SillDry will be talking about the building envelope protection solutions. So we're very excited to have them with us today. Thank you guys for coming. Before we get started, we do have a couple housekeeping items. I am recording this, so this will be available to replay tomorrow from our website. You can always visit this and any other recording from Builder Partnership webinars on our website at www.builderpartnerships.com/events, and then click on the webinars that you're wanting to watch. We will be taking question and answers. I do reserve all the questions until the end. So go ahead and click on the Q&A bubbles down at the bottom of your screen, and you can ask your questions at any time during the webinar. I will hold them till the end, and we'll have them answered live at the end of the webinar by either or both of our guests today. If you have questions for me directly, if you have any issues or specific questions that you need me to take care of throughout the webinar, you can reach me through the chat function down at the bottom. That's a single speech bubble. You can go ahead and ask your question there. We are going to start off with a quick 5-minute presentation with Rick. He's going to talk about manufacturer relationships and why those are important. Then we'll toss the screen over to Kevin from Lennox, and he'll go ahead and talk to you about the indoor air quality solutions. When he's finished, we'll send it over to Michael, and he will be talking about the building envelope protection solutions from SillDry. So with that, I will send that over to Rick.
Thank you, Emma Jane. So good afternoon, everybody, or good morning. So as she said, one of the things we're going to start off with is probably about a year ago now. We did a webinar on the importance of maximizing manufacturer relationships. And going into this conversation today with SillDry and Lennox, we thought it was important to kind of just highlight some of those topics and why it's important to be in control of the process, understand the products, and really partner up with your manufacturers. They're a valuable part of the process. So to get started, there's a lot of benefits to maximizing your relationship with manufacturers, but some of the key items are: one, you're going to have better cost control. Understanding the right products to put into your house, understanding what type of delays there might be on one line of product versus another are critical. To have better cost control overall, your upgrade paths and so forth. But understanding those is an important part of those relationships with your manufacturers. How can I control my costs? What are the right products to be putting into my homes? In turn, it leads to higher profits on options. Obviously, understanding what's hot in the market, it kind of ties to the next point on here with better understanding of market trends. What's hot in the market? What's selling? What should I be selling that we might be missing out on right now? And also understanding the proper costing. If you're utilizing your manufacturers to go through the right distribution channels, whether you have an opportunity to buy direct or you have the opportunity to buy through the right distribution, you're going to have better costing and in turn lead to better option pricing and profits. Faster warranty resolution. Think about, when there's a problem, do you want to be going through a lot of red tape and hunting down the proper person to talk to? How do I fix this problem when it's already a hot topic with a buyer in a community, whatever it might be? If you have a good relationship, a strong relationship, you're reaching out to that person and you're getting through all that red tape. It's how can I get this resolved in the most expedited manner? So you get faster warranty resolution and then faster response to unexpected issues. They're going to come up. We're dealing with it for the last year. COVID-19, it could be material defects. It could be there's a product that we just can't get in a timely manner because of sourcing or some of the raw material that's coming into it. Well, these relationships with your manufacturers are going to be key parts of being able to resolve those things quickly. We don't want to sit around and take a month to resolve it. We want to be able to talk to somebody that we trust, that we've built that relationship with, and figure out what plan B is, plan C is, get the quick resolution. So these are just a handful of the reasons why maximizing your relationships with manufacturers is important. But obviously there's way above and beyond this, but it's just important to not leave it in the hands of your trade partners alone. And part of this is knowing your product. When we say about knowing your product, Creating a strong manufacturer relationship starts with controlling your specifications. So we're not going to go through a whole purchasing seminar today and about how to set up your specification sheets. But I want you to think about, don't allow your trades to dictate the product decisions or maintain the manufacturer relationships. There's a lot of times that trades will come to you and say, this is the product I want to use. This is who I have a strong relationship with. You need to be part of that process. You need to be talking to your reps, to your manufacturers, and understanding what do I want to be calling out for my trades to be using and putting into our homes. In turn, you can also then be much clearer, much more concise with your descriptions that go out to your buyers when you're going through the process and not unsure of what's going into the finished product. Purchasing should maintain a master specification sheet. Be specific. This sheet's going out to customers in one form and it's going out to trades in another form. Usually the trades are a lot more specific with calling out the model numbers, the parts and pieces that go into the home, but you want to be specific. Eliminate or approved or equivalent. That is a recipe for disaster. And like I said, we're not going to go through a whole long purchasing webinar here, but my example of that is in this case, this is a small snapshot of a bidding specification sheet. Within a company, this is an example of something that we do on a consulting basis all the time. Go through the specifications that companies calling out and see, how can we revamp them? How can we make them a little bit more concise? And you can see in a case where it might have, this is just showing an electrical package. The fixture package in that case is perfect, where it's calling out, in this case, a Kichler lighting package, and it's giving a specific model number. That's what we want to be. We want to be concise, specific, the brand, the model number, what room it's going into. We want to get away from things like below where it has bath fans, standard family combo and separate switch, and doesn't give a model number, a manufacturer, or in other areas you put a word approved equivalent, because then you're leaving it up for decisions to be made that are out of your control. And we want to have control, and we want to be able to utilize the products and the manufacturers to the best of our ability. And then knowing your manufacturers, we want to make sure we schedule meetings with your reps. We're starting with that today with Lennox and SillDry. You're going to this is your meeting with the reps to tell you a little bit about their products, how they can help you, what's hot in the market. These are the types of things we want to talk about. Take the time to schedule meetings with your reps. Have a set agenda and send it out in advance. Make sure you're both on the same page. It doesn't do anybody any good to have this meeting and then to be having to come back and say, well, let's follow up 2 weeks from now with, some of those things will come up, but the more we can set out in advance and have a very educated, well thought out discussion, it helps everybody. Your manufacturer reps are extremely valuable in getting information. And, some of those things, and this is relating to that first slide, upcoming product changes. What's going to come out next year? What should I be getting ready to sell? What's going to be discontinued is probably sometimes just as important as what's coming up, right? What's coming up based on code changes and warranty? What's selling? Not just selling for your company, but what's selling locally, regionally, nationally. I want to know those trends. Depending where you are in the country, I could be out east, and sometimes a lot of these trends that we see out east start out west. What's selling like crazy out west? And I want to start preparing to see that kind of move itself across the country. And then finally, the proper upgrade paths. I talk to builders all the time from a consulting side about upgrade paths. Look at each category that we sell and how many options are we selling? How many upgrades are we selling? And if we're not selling upgrades in there, what's the reason? Do we have the proper upgrade path set up? Everything we put into our base house should be positioning ourselves for that upgrade path of level 1, level 2, level 3, and then the options such as we're going to talk about today that make your home healthier, safer, whatever it might be. Discuss those things with your manufacturer. It's important there. We have a certain amount of knowledge from doing our shopping and looking around and seeing what's in the market where we are. They have a much broader knowledge of what's going on in their industry, and we have to really take advantage of that information that they have and utilize it to our benefit. So, like I said, I didn't want to talk long about this stuff. I want to talk for 5 minutes about why understanding what's going into our homes and why having these relationships is important. But the key part of this webinar today is to really get to hear from Kevin and Lennox and get to hear from Mike and SillDry, talk about their products, and then have a little bit of a discussion afterwards. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to Kevin over at Lennox.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to present today, and we appreciate everyone's time. I'm going to start sharing my screen, so if you could bear with. And My name's Kevin Suarez. I am the Business Development Manager for Lennox Industries Residential New Construction Division, the longest title officially in the company. So with that said here, let me make sure. Can everyone see my screen okay?
You're good.
Thumbs up, Scott? Okay, perfect.
You're good. Yep.
Okay, so again, we're going to talk a little bit about building healthier homes, reducing costs. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Lennox Industries, we're an HVAC and refrigeration manufacturer. We own our brick and mortar across the US. Our core competency has been HVAC and refrigeration, and that's what's enabled us to have the highest SEER and most efficient equipment on the market today. So again, thank you. We appreciate the opportunity. And to piggyback on what Rick said, reach out to us, please. After this meeting, we'd love to get our territory managers or ourselves involved on a one-on-one meeting, talk to you about your specs, upgrade options, and talk to you about new and upcoming code. And that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today, some cost saving opportunities, some code changes, and talk to you a little bit more about indoor air quality. So first thing I want to take a look at is some cost savings opportunities, specifically with Energy Star rebates for builders. Now, I know several builders are familiar with Energy Star rebates, but this day and age, there's so many rebate programs out there in different municipalities, city, state governments, even national programs, that sometimes it's a little difficult for a builder to kind of pinpoint what programs or benefits are out there for them. Even in the HVAC portion of it, there's still some opportunity there. So, there's a link on this presentation, but again, we'd be more than happy to sit down and do kind of a review of your organization and some rebate opportunities out there specific to you. And when we look at Energy Star rebates, we look at Energy Star qualified HVAC equipment, and we have a full breadth of equipment to support Energy Star rebate programs around the country. And last but not least is a cost saving measurement, and Rick mentioned it on the presentation. Looking at your current specs, looking at what your current capabilities are, and knowing the product you have installed. I implore anyone on this call to reach out to us to do a competitive or comparison analysis of your cooling and heating capacities in your current specs. I've seen scenarios around the country where, one new home required 2 systems from a competitor where we were able to accomplish the same cooling and heating capacities with the single system. So again, back to Rick's point, if you're looking at some cost savings, looking at some opportunities to save some money, reach out to us. We'd certainly love to walk you through and do a comparison of our equipment to others. And just to share with you from a 100,000 foot perspective, all the different categories of Energy Star equipment, the majority of our air conditioners, Energy Star in all 3 product categories from our Merit, Elite, and Dave Lennox Signature Series. And again, we have product for each segmentation of builder out there, from entry level to your high-end luxury custom builder. And the same thing with our heat pump product offering. Throughout our heat pump offering, we have Energy Star equipment available, and several of our furnace equipments in the single stage, 2-stage, 80% or 90% efficiencies, same product offering. So again, when you're looking at that, when you're looking at the different Energy Star savings, we can certainly sit down with you and see if utilizing our equipment will help you qualify for certain rebates around the country, direct to you as the builder. And same thing with our heat pumps. You'll see in our heat pumps, in our single and multi-zone, we have some Energy Star equipment available. So again, not to bog you down with product information, just wanted to give you a quick 100,000 foot overview. And then wanted to spend a little bit of time on some HVAC industry changes and insights. So our conversation today, we're going to talk a little bit about performance standards and what's coming, what's changing. And that kind of goes along with cost savings. As a builder, we want to help educate you. As a partner, we want you to have the most up-to-date information on some of the changes that are coming. So you're able to make decisions and look at product specs well in advance before that change comes. And I'm going to share with you some of the regional changes. Everybody's pretty much seen the regional map. Changes are in 3 regional areas: the North, the Southeast, and the Southwest, South, Southeast, and the Southwest. And the changes that are coming up are basically changes in SEER. Put simply, it's going up 1 SEER point. For example, in the north, we're looking at 1 SEER. It's going from 13 SEER current standard to 14 SEER in the north, not including Canada. In the south and southeast, we're looking from going 14 SEER to 15 SEER. The exception there is going to be the 4 and 5 ton, which is going to go from 14 to 14 and a half SEER. And then in the southwest, same thing. We're going up 1 SEER increments. Now, all regions will have a heat pump. If you are doing, if there is a heat pump spec, it is going up to 15 SEER with the HSP, the heating seasonal performance factor, going up from 8.2 to 8.8 on the heating capacity. So those are some of the standards. And again, just want to give you a brief overview of it. Where this next slide, where we certainly want to make sure you're aware, is in the north, there's the purchasing requirements. If anything on 12/31/2022 or prior is manufactured, you could still buy it in 2023. In the south, southeast regions, and southwest, effective January 1st, 2023, only the new standards will be available for purchase in new construction. And same thing applies for heat pumps across the country. Scott, I wanted to chime in.
That was the point I was going to make. If you notice the heat pumps, they are sell by manufacture date also. And based on what's going on in the West with the, whether you want to call it electrification or decarbonization that's starting off right now, that will mean that in California, with all the heat pumps that are slated to move in there, that you'll have 2 different requirements. Heat pumps will be by manufacture date. Everything else will be by sell by installation date. So it'll get confusing, and I don't know, for all we know, may change, but just keep your eye on it if you're out there in those markets.
And thank you, Scott. And again, back to Rick's point, call us, reach out to us. We're all part of this family, and we're here available for you to provide you this information and give you insights. Whether you're using Lennox now or considering using Lennox in the future, we'd certainly welcome the phone call, and we would certainly have our territory manager, our field team, connect with you. So our next segment, and again, we'll go into the Q&A and answer some questions. I'm sure there's some that are going to come up, and with refrigeration, we can certainly answer some questions on the Q&A segment, but we want to pivot over to indoor air quality. And this segment's huge right now. It's hot. We're getting we're seeing several national, regional, and local builders add indoor air quality as a standard offering. And that's been consumer driven, future homeowner driven request here. So we're going to turn it over to Deshaun Kandi, our product manager, to discuss further. Deshaun, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Deshaun. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the opportunity to present here. As Kevin was mentioning, indoor air quality was something that traditionally was a hard upsell for contractors in the building channel, but really with the COVID pandemic, it's become top of mind, and it's something really that the homeowners are looking for, and that's where the builders with the right solutions can really help them out. So here's a statistic, right? Prior to the pandemic, the air inside the home was 2 to 10 times more polluted than the outdoors. Now with the pandemic, we have more people inside the home, more activity, and even companies have been rethinking how people work. With work from home, it's going to be even higher pollution indoors. And with the air tightness that we have in our buildings, we're really talking about all those contaminants trapped inside the house. So homeowners are looking for solutions that not just help them in their health, but also productivity of working from home. If you go to the next slide, Kevin, thank you. So if you think about all the different stuff that's in the air, our human respiratory system has the ability to take out the big particles, but it's really the fine particulate matter, or the PM 2.5, that's a very common metric for measuring the really fine particles. Those are the ones that go into the respiratory system and cause issues with asthma or breathing and other types of health problems. And those are really where Lennox, with their products, focuses on for best health outcomes. Here's a visual chart that shows all the, so if you look at the scale on the bottom and you go from right to left, you see you have particles that are much larger in size. And then as you go to the left, you have viruses, which is top of mind for everyone right now. And then even further down, you have gaseous molecules. So while the traditional filtration takes out the big particles, it's really these fine sized particles where the most effort is needed for health. So if you look at the Lennox's offering on air filtration, and you look at the bottom, we have in filtration, we have a MERV 11, MERV 13, and a MERV 16. So that's really kind of the good, better, best offering for filtration. And the MERV 16 is where we have the industry leading claim in terms of removing the fine particles, but also being able to not restrict airflow, because that's something where it's a trade-off that's often ignored. Is if you remove particles a lot, then you create a brick to the airflow, but that's where Lennox is different with our MERV 16. And with all the focus on COVID-19, so Lennox actually spent a year doing a lot of rigorous testing against these really fine virus-causing particles. So we are proud to share with the community that our Pure Air high-end air purification system, we now have a claim that it takes out more than 99% of the particles that causes COVID-19. So really, this is a validation of our focus on air purification and really addressing the fine particulates like the viruses. If you go to the next one. And here, lastly, just wanted to talk about our ultimate offering in air purification. So we talked about the good, better, best with the filtration, but the Pure Air Air Purifier, that's really our top of the line air purification system. So what it has inside is multiple components. So we have the industry leading MERV 16 filtration. It not only takes out particles, but also odors and chemical vapors and ozone. And then subsequently, once the air passes through that, you go through a PCO technology, which is photocatalytic oxidation. What that does is it takes out the volatile organic compounds and breaks them down. So what you have is one system that takes care of multiple different contaminant types and not having to pick and choose multiple products for each of those things. So that I'd like to wrap up and open it up for any Q&A for either my section or what Kevin had alluded to earlier.
So Deshaun, we're going to do the Q&A a little bit later today.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and wrap up. And Scott, if you have any closing points, we want to be very respectful of our time frame and turn it over to our friends at SillDry. Just to wrap up, again, a couple key points here. You know, we are a partner. Back to Rick's point, reach out to us. Let's sit down. Let's have a meeting. Let's look at what you're currently spec, and let's have conversation on industry codes and changes. Let's help you get prepared for those changes that are coming up, not just in the performance standards, but in the refrigeration standards. Let's have a conversation on indoor air quality. What are you currently using, and what are some applications we recommend? And do keep in mind, as we talk about our ultimate Pure Air indoor air quality system, it works with any HVAC manufacturer component out there. So if you're currently speccing a different brand, you can still use our Pure Air for any working with other brands out in the market. Scott, any closing remarks, sir?
Only thing that I would encourage them is last March we did a 1 hour long builder webinar on IAQ, and combination with that and what's been going on obviously for the last year and a half now, we've had a very strong response, and you're probably seeing the builders out there, probably seeing other large builders start to hit the market with a program that they're offering IAQ as either a standard or an active option in the market. So it's coming your way. Please give us a call. We'd love to help if we can, whether you're buying our product or not. We'd love to help you actually understand what's going on and where your best path might be.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Emma, Rick. We're going to go ahead and stop sharing and turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to pass it over to Michael. So if you want to go ahead and share your screen, you can go ahead and do that now. Thank you.
Okay, we will do that. Thank you, everybody. I think while that's coming up, I just want to thank Lennox. I think that certainly the pandemic has put air quality top of mind, and Lennox has done such an amazing amount of research. And I think it's great to see how they're focused on protecting the problems from not only what existed before with allergies and the rest of it, but now dealing with the pandemic that we've all been dealing with, which leads us to the other thing that is happening behind the walls. And I think the slide that talked about the tightness of the homes highlights this. You've got to keep water right away from your structure to protect the building envelope. And we know that the world has changed over the last 20 years to go from thinking that you can always keep water out to instead directing the water where you want it to go. And that's what SillDry is all about. So when we say the future of building envelope protection and drainage starts here, that's what we're talking about. So we go to the next slide. Here's what we're doing. We've got a partnership of, I'm one of the principals, I'm Michael, one of the principals in SillDry, and my partner, Kieran, who's been involved in the restoration of thousands of homes over the last 30 years. And we partnered together with our manufacturing expertise and his building expertise to create SillDry, which is a one-piece, zero waste product that allows you to save money and time, build your houses faster with your entry-level labor, and allow you to direct the water exactly where you want it to go. So for us, it's all about saving the world from water intrusion, and we serve builders just like you every day. So and we also wanted to make sure that you didn't have to worry about it. We've been in manufacturing for 65 years this year. And as running that business, what I always think about is, how do I easily sleep at night? And so what we wanted to do is provide a product to the industry that allows all of you to sleep at night, not have to worry that when it's a really rainy day out, that you're going to get 100 warranty calls. So our goal is to eliminate all of your water warranty calls going forward and make it easier for you to install it in the first place. So if we go to the next slide, you've all seen what can happen when the water gets into the building envelope. It's the single largest investment that the consumers are making, and obviously water is the largest, threat to the structural integrity of your home. So what we've done over the course of developing and patenting SillDry is make sure that we're protecting the building envelope. For about a decade of my career, I was the head of litigation for Toll Brothers and was actively involved in the East litigation and all of the other issues that have been surrounding water intrusion. And so very sensitive to making sure that consumers, families who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, the average home today, right, is about $300,000. So largest investment they're ever going to make, that is protected forever. If we move on. So what are the quick benefits, right? Well, it's easy to install. It's made out of TPO. It's got all of the code elements built into it. It's already got a 1/2-inch slope. And it only takes literally about 10 seconds to install. Even a lawyer gone good like me can do it. So it's one screw, you stretch it, put in the other screw, and you're done. We make them in 2-inch increments. We make them in 2x4 and 2x6 depths. And some of you may know that ASTM is now requiring, if it's a 2x6 construction, that it has to be a sloped sill to get the water out. So today, the only way really to do that, if you don't use SillDry, is to do a lot of labor to plane some kind of a 2x4 and put it in, and are you always doing it the same way? Who knows? The other good thing is that because this is made out of TPO, which is the same stuff that car bumpers and rubber roofs are made out of, it's good for decades in the sunlight. It's good for hundreds of years, obviously behind the wall. And so it's super durable, and you can install it in any weather. So as you're thinking about cycle times and how long it takes you to build a house, especially with all the pressure on getting labor, then you're going faster, you're putting them in every window or door opening, And then whenever you want to put them in, you put them in. So it allows your team to always know what's happening at your either window or door penetration. If we go on to the next slide. Some of you may also be familiar with Matt Reisinger. He's reviewed tons of products over the year, over the last decade. About 1 million people tune in to him online every week. And you can check him out later. We won't play the whole video here, but he reviews our SillDry product on one of his own homes that he's building, and how great and easy it is to use. And so we're always happy that someone like Matt, who's seen all the new products out in the marketplace, has endorsed SillDry already. Move on. And then, of course, we also are happy that at the IBS show, when we were actually allowed to go in person, we won a few awards as finalists as well. So moving right along. In addition to all of that, we're partnering with some of the larger exterior manufacturers, including Masterwall and Dryvit, and they're extending their warranties by anywhere between 2 and 5 years if you use SillDry with their products. So if you're thinking about different exterior applications, again, all of these endorsements happening because they're seeing what we're seeing, which is you want to be able to save time, not have any waste, do it in any weather, and not have to have warranty calls later. So you're saving time up front, you're saving money up front, and I know all of you are pressured with especially lumber prices going out of control and so many other product price increases that your supply chain is being really, really impacted with a lot of price increases. We're actually deciding to go the other way. We make everything in the United States. For participating in this webinar, we're going to actually offer you a special code for 10% off your first order, and we're intentionally not increasing prices in 2021. We want to be your partner through the pandemic and for a long time to come, rather than just try to jam some price increases through right now. So move right along. These are some of the details that you can read because you'll have access to this presentation afterwards about how the actual programs work should you go with Masterwall or Dryvit. So we'll roll through those, and you'll see the specification there for example, how you could use SillDry with Dryvit's system. Moving right along. And then these are some of the, the earlier adopters. This product's been on the marketplace now for a little over 2 years. Toll Brothers started using it literally last month. We've had others with us from the beginning. We've now installed this about 50, 60,000 times around the country. And all we get are people reordering who use the product. It makes their life easier. It saves them time. It saves them money. And no callbacks when it rains. So it's a great savings all the way around for everybody. Moving right along. Just a little bit about how we make it. So we're one of the largest plastics injection molders in the country, about 250,000 square feet, as I said. We're based here in Pennsylvania, about 250,000 square feet and 128 molding machines, totally vertically integrated. We do everything in the United States, only use virgin resin, usually coming from the South or Southwest. And that way that every piece you get is the same every time, so that we can control, we're usually making billions of parts a year for a variety of industries. Construction, long before SillDry, we probably make about 500 million parts for windows and doors for folks like Plygem and Silverline and MI Industries. So we're very understand how important it is to be precise in the building industry, and that the goal for the end user here, our building partners, want to make sure that they put it in and they sort of can set it and forget it, and that's what we focus on making. So moving right along. And then here we'll just roll through a few places where we've seen it in larger and smaller homes, all kinds of windows and doors with every kind of WRB, with every kind of tape. So anything that you want to use it with, that's a 27-foot long a window opening that we put it in. Again, one piece installed in about a minute. So no matter what type of structure you're making, whether it's single family or multifamily, high end, in a city environment, in any weather, we've done it. We're using it, obviously, as you can see here, with zip systems, with Typar, with Tyvek, I mean, you name it, Weather Shield, all the products. So total compatibility with every product out there makes it very easy for you to keep your house tight, the water where you want it to go. So moving on, yes, just some, again, lots of projects, having fun all over the region. So again, there's the code. You'll get it after the seminar as well. And thank you again for your attention. And I guess we'll now open it up to any questions.
Thank you both very much. It was great presentations, and this further emphasizes why it's so important to have the manufacturer relationships. I mean, you see both Lennox and SillDry, the amount of information in the last 20, 25 minutes. It's huge. I mean, it's great, and it's all relevant to what we're dealing with today, right now. So make sure as a builder, we're continuing to build those relationships, ask the questions from the people that are the experts in each of the trades, and it really makes an impact, a difference in our everyday workflow and quality of our homes. It looks like there might be some questions coming through, but before we get to all the questions, just a couple questions I want to ask and spur from our presenters here today. I know from on a consulting basis, when we're going around and we're talking to builders all over the country, pricing and cycle times are two of the hottest topics. And, we've touched on those in both presentations to an extent, but just to kind of drive that fact home, or that point home, I'd like to get both of you to kind of tell me a little bit specifically on when we talk about cycle time, whether it's the speed that you build the house, or it's cycle time in terms of how long it's taking to get certain products in, because that's probably the biggest factor right now. Is you hear stories all the time about, oh, it takes 15 weeks to get this in, you better order it ahead of time, or, how are both of your companies dealing with cycle time and, and cost control? I mean, we just heard that from SillDry with the cost control and actually maintaining the cost this year. What are both your thoughts or your comments on those two topics?
Kevin, do you want to?
Sure, Scott, if I see your hand raised, Scott, if you'd like.
Sure. So I was just wondering if Michael, so cycle time or lead time, what we're doing, any of the major builders we're dealing business with a serious volume, we've got a request out to them that they provide us basically a 90-day look at what they've got coming up. We happen to own our distribution and our manufacturing, so that helps us all the way through the chain. We can tell them we just want to look at that. We've got a standing request with our contractors that they order 30 days in advance. It's gotten a lot better over the last 3, 4, 5 months, but there are still throughout the supply chain. I mean, who knew we were going to get a freighter stuck in the Suez Canal, right? Things are just popping up all over the place. So we've still got that in place. Typically, if we were doing normal, we'd have what you want that day at the location you want it wherever you are in the country. We still have that going on, but we do experience some delays. So as a abundance of caution, we have left the 30-day advanced ordering in place as a request.
Yeah, for us, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. On the cost side, you are seeing some increases in our market. It's not across the board. It's spotty depending what it is. It depends on whether you can get a hold of something or not. In some cases, we have said, hey, these are tough. We're going to supplement our supply on a certain item. If you can handle the wait, or like if there's really 30 days necessary, then you can do it. If you don't, we have another product. It does cost us more, but you can have it now. So we're kind of working with that in adjustment, and that's in 1 or 2 items we do that.
That's great. It sounds so, Scott. It sounds like basically you're reiterating about it's all about the relationship. Whether you're talking about the 30-day advance notice of orders, or you're talking about the products and what any maybe cost changes that are happening. The communication is key to making sure what product we're getting. Do we need to make a change? Keeping those relationships open.
Right.
Yeah. So
now.
Yeah.
So we are holding where we can. There are a number of, like if you're building a house, how's your price? How's your drywall price? Right? It just, I realize you guys are getting pounded. I used to be in the building supply business, so I still have friends and family that are doing that. We typically, as a company, absorb what we can. I'm not standing here saying we aren't going to take a price increase in the next 6 years. I can't say that to you. As it piles up at some point in time, that and the freight issues, they will come to a point where someone will have to do something. So we're trying to toe the line best we can.
Great, I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you. So Michael, what were your thoughts on both
a
those?
couple of thoughts. I mean, for us, because I think we're a privately held family business, we think about the long-term relationship. So we went out and bought a ton of resins so we could have supply in-house to be able to make the SillDry product. It's a custom product, so you're getting exactly what you need with your window and door plan. So you send us your window and door plan, and then we're giving you one per opening. So as a result of that, our turnaround time tends to be a week or two from when you place the order. Because we have the advantage of making everything in the United States, we aren't dealing with the Suez Canal. We aren't dealing with being reliant on China. We aren't dealing with all of those issues. So we can get it to you very, very quickly. It's something that's sort of one of our core values has been for the last 6 decades is making things here. And so that's how we go at it from a cycle time perspective. So really for builders, whenever they're ordering their windows, they can order this and there'll be plenty of time because typically the windows are 6 weeks out. So that takes care of that. From a cost perspective, again, because we're so highly automated, we've invested a lot up front in robotics and automation in our factory so that we're able to just pass along those savings to our builders, because our view is not to try to take it, have a short-term win. We want to have a, multi-decade relationship as we do with many of our customers today. So that's our view is that we're in it together. We're going to get through this crisis together. Maybe we'll make a little less money this year. That's okay, because we want to make sure that the builders come out in great shape going forward. I mean, we all see the tremendous demand for homes. We're probably building a third less homes than we need to as a nation just to absorb what's happening in the country right now. And that's a long-term trend that we want to be a part of. So we'd rather be a part of that and absorb the cost increases right now. So that's where we're at.
Great, thank you. And I think, I can't reiterate it enough that it shows how important these relationships are right now in critical times. They're important when things are going great, because when things are going great, everybody just wants to keep moving along and just say, I don't need any help, right? But we want to have those relationships, build those alliances and what we need to work on. But then they become really evident where they're important when we have problems. When you're dealing with COVID-19, you're dealing with supply shortages, you're dealing with price increases. This is where you want those partnerships. Bring your manufacturers closer to you. Don't push them away and get into issues where it's like, well, who else can I price shop? We always need to do our jobs, but building those relationships with the manufacturers you're working with is critical. So I think it's very evident today. I think before we open it up, and there's already a question that came through for SillDry, but before I open it up to some question and answer, the last item I'd like to bring up would be warranty. Warranty is always a topic, good times, bad times, anything going on. What are both of you seeing? I mean, obviously SillDry inherently should be helping resolve warranty issues, but for both companies, whether it's Lennox or SillDry, what are your current processes with helping builders when there are warranty issues on your end? And, how can you help with that type of process?
So just real quick, and I'll delve into that just a little bit, but for the record, we don't have any product in the Suez Canal right now. Want to make that abundantly clear. No product. It was just an analogy.
Just an example of just an example of things that go on.
Yeah. Much of our manufacturing is in the U.S. And we do have a plant in Saltillo, Mexico. But with that said, we work close with builders. We have field technical consultants out there. We partner with job site visits or any technical support or things of that nature. We have a full warranty team here that we work with. So, I mean, we have a full breadth of support in that area. Scott, I didn't know if you wanted to expand on that at all.
That's right. Owning our distribution helps us a lot quite there, because when you have an issue in any market, you're talking to Lennox, you're not talking to a distributor, and they have direct access to a local, what Kevin mentioned, a local field technical consultant, but also a bunch of different teams at corporate, whether it's on the product side or on the application side or the technical side. So there's a plethora of resource that can be called on by the contractor, but also by the builder. If the builder's not happy with what's going on and they would like to have a field technical consultant on site, we will make an appointment, show up with the contractor and evaluate the situation. So we're happy to be of a service in that area.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. So Michael, anything on your side as far as obviously?
Yeah, as we touched on many times, the goal is to avoid the warranty claims in the first place, right? But And that's why we believe in it. That's why we also back it with the largest warranty in the industry at 15 years. Everybody else with anything doing around flashing is at 10. So we believe in it. You've got access to us instantly and our teams. And so whether it's online or on the phone, and we'll go wherever is necessary should there be an issue. I have to say, as I sit here, we haven't had one warranty claim since we've shipped product. So it's been doing what we thought it would do. And so at some point, I'm sure we'll have one, and at that point we'll deal. But for the moment, we're in great shape.
So in your case, you're helping to avoid warranty claims altogether. So that's a great that's a great part. And
Exactly.
The reason I brought this up, and just to bring it up again, the reason I wanted to bring up about the warranty is because just as much as I said, it's important to talk with your manufacturers when things are good. It's important, obviously, when things are bad to be focusing on issues, but you want to talk to them when things are good and moving along as well. Warranty is a question we always deal with. I didn't want to, cycle time and pricing was the first thing I wanted to bring up because we're all dealing with that trauma right now with everything going on in the market. But warranty is typically a big item, and I wanted to make sure we talked about it and just didn't ignore the everyday business that we all go through. So I appreciate all three of you talking about those different topics. Before we move on and being cognizant of time on the webinar, there is a question out there right now for SillDry, asking whether SillDry works with exterior foam.
It does, yes. It works with exterior foam. It's been compatible with any kind of exterior attachment. So yes, for sure. And if you want to follow up with me, send me an email of specifics of this particular use case. Happy to have our technical team get back to you.
That's great. So Jane, did you have anything, or should we just leave it open for a couple minutes for everybody, or?
Emma's on mute.
Oh my gosh, you have to tell the person who's running the webinar how to do the webinar. That's always good. Right now, that was just the only question, but you guys did a great job. This format was very interesting and very educational. Both of you guys presented really valuable information, and I hope that people are going to take advantage of the time they spent with you here today, and also take advantage of watching this on the recording, because the information you provided was invaluable. But with that, do you guys have anything else you want to add? We can go ahead and close it down, and if we have more questions, if you have any other questions, you will be getting, anybody who attends the webinar will be getting an email tomorrow with your guys' contact information, as well as the code, which was SD SillDry BP Builder Partnerships 10. That's the code for SillDry. So if you're calling to work with Michael on anything for SillDry, that's the code you want to use. And I think there was an expiration date on that too, wasn't there, Michael?
Orders placed before the end of May. So
okay, May 30th.
Yeah, they don't have to be installed by then, as long as the order's placed before then.
All right. Perfect. All right. Well, that information will come out in the email tomorrow, along with your contact. I have Kevin's contact information and Michael's contact information. So if you have any other questions, you can reach them directly. But I want to thank you guys so much. This was the first time we've done this format, and I think it worked really well. And I hope everybody got some good knowledge that they can take with them moving forward. So thank you very much for everyone who joined us today, and thank you to the team that was speaking today.
Thanks,
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Great afternoon.